You are not looking for extra cash because you want a little comfort. You are looking for the first piece of evidence that you can survive without being chosen. That is the part most men avoid admitting. They say they want freedom, but their money still comes from one permission structure, one employer, one schedule, one paycheck, one person deciding what their time is worth. And when that is your only source of income, your pride is borrowed. You can be ambitious, disciplined, and intelligent, but if you cannot create even $1 outside the system that owns your week, you are still negotiable. But do not confuse this with chasing easy money. Easy money attracts desperate men, and desperate men become cheap. Your first stream from home is not a side hustle. It is proof. Proof that you can sell a skill, solve a problem, create value, and build leverage alone. Because the unsupported man does not need belief first. He needs evidence. And that evidence begins with 5 moves. Sell dead assets for motion, offer simple remote services for fast cash, build 3 samples for proof, send daily offers for feedback, and collect 1 testimonial for leverage. But if you do this in the wrong order, you will make a few dollars and still remain replaceable. That is the question most men never ask. Why does one man make a few dollars online and stay trapped, while another man starts from nothing, builds one skill, creates proof, and slowly becomes impossible to ignore? The answer is not luck. It is not motivation. It is not even intelligence. It is leverage. But leverage does not begin when you become rich. It begins when you stop asking the world to rescue you and start forcing the market to respond to evidence. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few really know what you are." That is not just politics, that is money. The market does not know your private ambition. It does not see the discipline you imagine you have. It does not reward the man you believe you could become. It sees signals. It sees proof. It sees results. So if you are invisible, underpaid, ignored, doubted, or treated like your ambition is only a phase, understand this clearly. Your potential is not being oppressed. It is being unproven. That sentence may insult the weak man, but it frees the strategic man. Because if you are oppressed, you wait for someone else to change. If you are unproven, you can build the evidence yourself. And that difference decides whether you become bitter or dangerous. The market is real. The Federal Reserve found that 20% of adults performed gig activities in the prior month in its 2024 household report. That means the arena exists. People are earning outside traditional jobs. But it also means the arena is crowded. Many men are trying to create extra income. Most of them are not building leverage. They are selling fragments of time. A survey here, a microtask there, a low-paid gig, a random app. Another easy way to make money from home. And because money moved, they feel productive. But money moving is not the same as power growing. A man can earn small coins and still remain cheap. He can be busy and still remain trapped. He can call it hustle while training the market to see him as replaceable. That is why the first rule is not about making fast money. It is about making the kind of money that leaves something behind. Skill, proof, a testimonial, a portfolio, a sharper offer, a stronger identity. If the activity gives you cash but no skill, no proof, no asset, no testimonial, and no bargaining power, then it may help you survive this week while keeping you weak next month. Sometimes survival money is necessary. Do not be too proud to do what keeps you alive. But do not be so desperate that you mistake survival for strategy. Because the easiest work attracts the most desperate men, and desperate men destroy their own price. No experience required sounds comforting until you understand what it really means. No barrier, no scarcity, no bargaining power, no reason to pay you more than the next man. And if you are already unsupported, you cannot afford to become cheaper. You cannot afford to build an income stream that trains the world to see you as disposable. When a man has only one paycheck, one boss, one schedule, one source of approval, one fragile structure he did not build, he is not free, he is tolerated. And tolerated men do not negotiate from strength. They ask carefully. They wait quietly. They swallow disrespect. They stay longer than they should because one emergency could expose how little control they really have. That is the real cost. Not just poverty, dependence. Dependence changes your posture before it changes your bank account. It makes you more polite than you should be. It makes you patient when you are actually. It makes you call weakness professionalism because admitting the truth would injure your pride. You tell yourself you are being responsible, but deep down, you know the truth. You have no alternative. And a man with no alternative is easy to manage. That is why your first dollar from home matters. Not because $1 changes your life. $1 does not pay your rent. $1 does not impress your family. $1 does not make your friends respect you. But one independent dollar proves that money can come from value you create, not only from permission you receive. That is psychological warfare. Not against other people, against the version of you that still waits to be chosen. Look at Andrew Carnegie. Before he became one of the most powerful industrialists in American history, he was not sitting in comfort, waiting for someone to discover his hidden greatness. He entered the workforce at 13 as a bobbin boy in a cotton mill, working long hours and earning $1.20 per week. That was not power, that was pressure. But pressure alone does not make a man powerful. Many men suffer and become smaller. Many men struggle and become bitter. Many men are abandoned and use that abandonment as proof that they should stop trying. Carnegie did something different. He moved towards skill. He became a telegraph messenger. Then he taught himself the equipment. Then he became a telegraph operator. Then he moved into the Pennsylvania Railroad, where proximity to information, timing, communication, and opportunity changed his trajectory. The first proof was not an empire. The first proof was competence. He learned something useful. He became trusted with signals, messages, timing, and information. He became useful inside a system where useful men could move closer to opportunity. That is the lesson. Carnegie did not escape by being inspired. He escaped by becoming useful. And that is where most unsupported men deceive themselves. They want respect before usefulness. They want belief before evidence. They want people to recognize their potential before they have built anything that makes recognition necessary. But the world does not owe you belief. The world responds to evidence when the evidence becomes too costly to ignore. Now look at Jan Koum. He came to the United States from Ukraine as a teenager. Forbes reported that after WhatsApp was sold to Facebook, Koum signed the deal in the same kind of abandoned building where he had once collected food stamps. WhatsApp sold to Facebook for $19 billion. Do not romanticize the ending. Study the mechanism. The pressure was survival. The action was building something useful. The first proof was not the sale. The first proof was users. People used WhatsApp because it was simple, useful, and removed friction from communication. That is the power lesson. The world ignored his story until his proof became too large to dismiss. Your story may be painful, your family may not understand you, your friends may doubt you, your environment may be small, your job may drain the best hours of your mind. But none of that becomes leverage until it is converted into something visible. Pain that stays private becomes resentment. Pain converted into skill becomes power. This is why the unsupported man cannot think like a consumer. The consumer asks, what is easy? The strategist asks, what builds leverage? The consumer asks, what app pays today? The strategist asks, what skill can make me harder to replace tomorrow? The consumer asks, how do I get quick cash? The strategist asks, how do I create money, proof, skill, reputation, and optionality from the same action? That question changes everything. Because the goal is not to become busy. The goal is to become harder to control. Law 1, extra cash. Is not the goal. Independence is. Most men want extra cash because they want relief. A little more room. A little less pressure. A little less fear when the bill arrives. There is nothing wrong with wanting relief. But relief is too small a mission for a man who has no safety net. Relief calms the pressure. Independence changes your position. Extra cash gives you breathing room. Breathing room gives you better decisions. Better decisions reduce desperation. Reduced desperation increases power. A desperate man accepts bad offers. A desperate man underprices himself. A desperate man says yes too quickly. A desperate man negotiates against his own fear. But a man with even a small independent income stream begins to think differently. He stops asking only, how do I survive this month? He starts asking, what else can I build? That is the beginning of sovereignty. Not wealth. Sovereignty. Machiavelli wrote that fortune controls part of human affairs, but she still leaves us to direct the other half. That is the doctrine. You may not control your family's belief. You may not control the economy. You may not control your boss. You may not control your background. You may not control the timing of opportunity. But you control the half where skill, discipline, proof, and action live. The weak man curses the half he cannot control. The strategic man builds inside the half he can. If you are the right viewer, stop false progress. You already know that watching more content without building proof has become a sophisticated form of waiting. The real problem is not that you lack ideas. The real problem is that you lack a private system that forces ideas into proof, positioning, discipline, funnels, leverage, and self-command. Inside Patreon, I go deeper into the private frameworks and unfiltered breakdowns that turn this doctrine into execution. It is not for men looking for comfort. It is for men who are ready to stop performing ambition and start building evidence. The decision is yours. Law 2. Start with what can pay fast. A man with no support cannot afford perfection. He needs proof fast, not fantasy. Proof. Start with what can generate motion. Sell unused items online. Not because reselling is your destiny, because cash sitting in your room is dead weight. Old headphones, unused equipment, clothes you do not wear, tools you do not use, books you no longer need, devices collecting dust. Sell them. This is not a business model. This is a psychological rupture. You are teaching yourself that money can be created by action, not only received through payroll. Then move to simple remote services, admin support, inbox cleanup, appointment setting, research, customer support, basic data organization. Do not look down on simple work when you have no proof. Pride without evidence is just costume. The goal is not to feel above the first move. The goal is to use the first move as a door, then move toward basic freelance tasks, writing, editing, thumbnails, transcription, translation, short-form clips, simple research packs, tutoring one skill you already know, helping local businesses with Google business profiles, basic websites, social media posts, email setup, or simple lead capture. Do not overcomplicate the beginning. Overcomplication is often fear wearing the mask of intelligence. A man says, I am still researching. No, He is avoiding judgment. A man says, "I am still planning." No, he is protecting the fantasy of being talented before the market tests him. A man says, "I need the perfect niche." No, he needs one useful action that creates proof. Your first move is not supposed to impress the world. It is supposed to break your dependence on waiting. But understand the hierarchy. Selling old headphones gives you cash. Learning to write sales emails gives you a skill. Writing 3 sample emails gives you proof. Getting 1 client gives you a testimonial. Getting 3 clients gives you positioning. Turning that result into a monthly package gives you leverage. The first move is not the final move. It is the door. Most men never walk through the door because they are ashamed of beginning small. They would rather imagine a powerful future than complete an unimpressive first action today. That is vanity, not strategy. Not strategy begins where your pride is willing to be tested. If you are a writer, do not wait for permission to call yourself one. Create 3 sample emails for a real business category. 1 welcome email, 1 sales email, 1 abandoned cart email. If you are a video editor, do not tell people you can edit. Edit 3 short clips. Show the raw clip. Show the final clip. Explain why your cut holds attention. If you are a designer, do not beg for a chance. Redesign 3 bad thumbnails or landing pages. Show the before, show the after, show the reason. If you are a tutor, create 3 short lesson samples. Show how you explain a difficult concept simply. If you want to build websites, create 3 landing pages for 3 types of local businesses: a gym, a dentist, a contractor, a coach. Now you are no longer saying, "Please believe in me." You are saying, "Here is what I can do." That is the difference between begging and positioning. Law 3. Do not chase easy money. Easy money makes you replaceable. This is where pride must enter. Not ego. Pride. The kind of pride that refuses to become cheap. Surveys may pay. Microtasks may pay. Random low-skill gigs may pay. But if anyone can do it, anyone can replace you. And if anyone can replace you, no one has to respect your price. That is not cruelty. That is market logic. The market does not pay you because you are tired. It does not pay you because you were doubted. It does not pay you because your family failed to support you. It pays when your usefulness becomes visible, specific, and difficult enough to replace. That is why easy money is dangerous for the unsupported man. It gives him movement without transformation. It gives him a small reward while preserving the same weak position. It gives him the feeling of action without forcing him to become more valuable. And that is how men stay trapped. Not because they do nothing, but because they keep doing things that cannot compound. The Federal Trade Commission repeatedly warns that work-from-home job scams exploit people who want remote income. And one clear warning sign is being asked to pay money to get a job. Understand why that works. Desperation lowers judgment. A man under pressure wants the shortcut to be real. He wants the message to be true. He wants someone to say, "You can earn a lot with no skill, no proof, no experience, no rejection, no sales, no discomfort, no public evidence." But that is not an opportunity. That is bait. And bait is designed for hungry creatures. If you are desperate, the market can smell it. Scammers can smell it. Cheap clients can smell it. Low-quality platforms can smell it. Even your own mind can smell it, and it will start negotiating against your future just to calm your fear today. This is why a man must build with cold standards. Do not ask, "What pays?" Ask, "What makes me harder to replace after it pays?" That question separates cheap action from strategic action. A cheap task pays you once. A skill can pay you again at a higher level. A cheap task disappears after completion. A skill leaves proof. A cheap task makes you compete with everyone. A skill lets you position yourself against fewer men. A cheap task says, I need money. A skill says, I am becoming useful. Writing and authorship can be done from anywhere with a computer, but freelance writers often face pressure to keep finding projects. That means the skill is real, but the man must also learn positioning, proof, and client acquisition. Web development and digital design carry stronger market value because they solve visible business problems. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported median annual wages of $98,090 for web and digital interface designers in May of 2024. The lesson is not that every man should become a web developer. The lesson is colder. Choose a skill where improvement increases your value. Choose a skill where proof can be shown. Choose a skill where a business can understand the result. Choose a skill where the buyer can say, this solves a problem I already have. A local gym does not care that you are ambitious. It cares whether your landing page gets leads. A dentist does not care about your hidden discipline. He cares whether his Google profile looks professional and brings calls. A creator does not care that you want freedom. He cares whether your edit holds attention. A business owner does not care that nobody supported you. He cares whether your email brings customers back. This is not heartless. This is liberating, because it means you do not have to be liked first. You do not have to be chosen first. You do not have to explain your childhood, your pain, your ambition, your loneliness, or your resentment. You only have to make your usefulness visible. And once your usefulness becomes visible, the conversation changes. You are no longer asking for belief. You are creating evidence. Law 4. Convert one skill into visible proof. This is where unsupported men must stop lying to themselves. You do not need everyone to believe in you. You need 3 pieces of proof. 3 is enough to begin. Not enough to dominate. Not enough to become arrogant. Not enough to call yourself elite. Enough to stop being invisible. If you are a writer, create 3 sample emails for a real business category. 1 welcome email, 1 sales email, 1 abandoned cart email. Do not write random motivational paragraphs. Do not write vague content about passion. Write something that could help a business make money, save time, regain attention, or communicate clearly. If you are a video editor, edit 3 short clips. Show the raw clip. Show the final clip. Show why your cut holds attention. Explain where you removed dead space. Explain where you added pattern interruption. Explain why the first few seconds matter. If you are a designer, redesign 3 bad thumbnails or landing pages. Show before and after. Do not just say it looks better. Explain why the new version creates stronger contrast, clearer hierarchy, sharper emotion, and faster understanding. If you are a tutor, create 3 short lesson samples. Show how you explain a difficult concept simply. Break down 1 confusing idea until a beginner can understand it without shame. If you want to build websites, create 3 landing pages for 3 types of local businesses: a gym, a dentist, a contractor, a coach. Show the headline, show the offer, show the call to action. Show why the layout guides attention instead of wasting it. Now you have proof, not perfect proof, beginning proof. And beginning proof is enough to change your posture. Because the man with no proof must ask for a chance. The man with proof can send evidence. The man with no proof says, I am hardworking. The man with proof says, here is what I made. The man with no proof says, I promise I can learn. The man with proof says, this is how I think, this is how I solve, this is what I can improve. That is the difference between begging and positioning. Psychologist Albert Bandura's work on self-efficacy explains why this matters. The American Psychological Association describes mastery experience, performing well at a task before, as a powerful source of belief in future performance. In plain language, confidence does not come from being told you are capable. Confidence comes from evidence that you have acted and survived. That is why motivational content fades so quickly. It gives emotion without evidence. It makes you feel like a stronger man for a few minutes, then returns you to the same life with the same weak proof. Real confidence is colder. It is built when you do the thing, survive the rejection, adjust the offer, improve the sample, send another message, and realize you did not die from being ignored. You stop fearing the market because the market becomes feedback. You stop fearing rejection because rejection becomes data. You stop fearing visibility because visibility becomes distribution. You stop fearing beginner status because beginner status becomes the price of entry. This is how your identity changes. You are not trying to feel confident. You are collecting evidence until confidence becomes rational. That is why the first independent dollar matters. It is not money. It is psychological evidence. It tells your nervous system, I can create, I can sell, I can deliver, I can survive rejection, I can improve, I can build alone. And once a man has evidence, he becomes harder to manipulate with doubt. If you are the right viewer, you already know the truth. Your problem is not that nobody gave you a chance. Your problem is that you have not built enough proof to make chance unnecessary. Inside Patreon, I break down the deeper systems, private frameworks for proof, positioning, discipline, funnels, leverage, self-command, and turning a small result into a repeatable structure. It is not for spectators, and it is not for men collecting more theory while avoiding execution. It is for the man ready to become measurable. The decision is yours. Your first dollar from home is psychological warfare. The world does not need to conspire against you for you to remain weak. All it has to do is keep you dependent. Dependent on one employer. Dependent on one schedule. Dependent on one person's approval. Dependent on one paycheck. Dependent on one fragile structure you did not build. And once you are dependent, your behavior changes. You become careful. You become quiet. You become agreeable in rooms where your instincts tell you to be firm. You stay loyal to systems that would replace you by Friday if the numbers demanded it. You laugh at disrespect because your rent is attached to your silence. You call it maturity. Sometimes it is fear. This is why Machiavelli warned that a ruler must study war, discipline, and the art that preserves power. He wrote, "A prince ought to have no other aim or thought than war and its rules and discipline." In your life, war is not violence. War is the discipline of survival, positioning, skill, and leverage in a world that does not reward hidden potential. Your first dollar from home is a small act of war against dependence, not against people, against the version of you that keeps waiting. Waiting to be chosen, waiting to be helped, waiting to feel ready, waiting for family to understand, waiting for friends to support, waiting for a boss to recognize your effort, waiting for confidence before action. That man must die. Because he is too easy to control. He is too easy to delay. He is too easy to flatter. He is too easy to discourage. He is too easy to keep in place with one paycheck and a little approval. You are not a man looking for a side hustle. You are a man building your first proof of independence. That is the shift. Stop asking, what is the easiest way to make extra cash from home? Ask a harder question. What can I build from home that makes me more useful, more visible, more skilled, and harder to replace? That question separates weak activity from strategic action. Weak activity says, I need money. Strategic action says, I need money, proof, skill, reputation, and leverage. Weak activity chases platforms. Strategic action builds assets. Weak activity hides behind preparation. Strategic action produces public evidence. Weak activity wants comfort. Strategic action wants power. And power begins when your income is no longer completely controlled by someone who does not care about your future. Do not romanticize struggle. Poverty does not make you noble. Pain does not make you special. Being unsupported does not automatically make you strong. Isolation only becomes power when it becomes structure. Structure becomes skill. Skill becomes proof. Proof becomes leverage. Leverage becomes money. Money becomes optionality, becomes freedom. That is the ladder. And if you are truly unsupported, you cannot skip steps. You cannot afford delusion. You cannot afford fake gurus. You cannot afford easy money traps. You cannot afford to spend 6 months feeling busy while creating no evidence. Your first mission is simple. Pick one skill, build 3 samples, publish proof, send offers daily, get 1 result, collect 1 testimonial. Repeat until the market stops seeing you as potential and starts seeing you as useful, not special, useful, not misunderstood, useful, not secretly powerful, useful. Because useful men get feedback. Useful men get referrals. Useful men get trusted with bigger problems. Useful men learn what the market values. Useful men become visible without begging to be seen. That is how a man becomes harder to ignore, not by explaining, not by complaining, not by waiting, by evidence. And once you create your first independent dollar, a deeper question opens. Can you repeat it? Because $1 proves possibility, but repetition creates leverage. The next enemy will not be lack of ideas. It will be inconsistency. Most men can start. Few men can repeat. Few men can package their value. Few men can raise their standard. Few men can stop selling themselves cheaply once they finally get attention. This is where the real test begins. The first dollar proves you can survive outside permission. But the next level is becoming useful enough to be paid repeatedly. So do not worship the first win. Use it, document it, study it, repeat it, build the next proof. If this hit the part of you that is tired of waiting, do not turn this into another video you agreed with and then forgot. Comment. No one is coming if you are done waiting for rescue and ready to build your first proof of independence. The unsupported man does not need belief first. He needs evidence. And once he has evidence, he stops asking the world to see him. He forces the world to update its judgment. No support, no permission. Build anyway.